Just get started. Please, can you hear me clearly? I need our feedback, please. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So let's start. All right. So today we have a couple of fundamental events, and that will come up later in the day. So there's German prelim CPI monthly is an all-day event, so we need to trade the euro pairs very carefully today. It's an all-day, so it means there's no specific time it happens, as the day goes on. But the key ones for today, we have the GDP from Canada by 2:30 p.m. and simultaneously we have the core PPI and the PPI also from Canada. Now, so that means that we're expecting volatility on the Canadian dollar and the United States dollar. Now, I'll give you my insight on the instrument I'll be looking at for these two events, so that we can maximize the opportunity in the market. Now, I'll go straight to the chart to show us my expectation today. Now, for the news from Canada and United States, the currency pair that connect both of them together is the USD card. And that's why it's an instrument of interest this morning because there's a setup that is forming on it as we speak. On the daily time frame, this is the USD card. On the daily time frame, we can clearly see that earlier on price hit a resistance level and it's been raging on this level for some time. Technically, we should be looking for a downward movement. And if we flip down to the 4-hour time frame, we'll clearly see that on that resistance level, we're having a head and a shoulder pattern forming. And price currently is trading around the neckline region of that head and shoulder pattern. Now, if you've attended our training where we talk about chart patterns, head and shoulder pattern is a very powerful reversal pattern. Anytime it happens, price is expected to reverse to the downside and is looking for an opportunity to sell. So we're at a critical point on this instrument today, especially because there's a fundamental event we're expecting by 2:30 p.m. Now we have news from Canada and United States. That's a USD card. That's the instrument. So if the news from the United States comes out bad for the dollar and the news from Canada comes out good for the Canadian dollar, I'll flip back to the forex factory now. Then that will lead to a massive bearish movement on the USD card. Now I'm back to forex factory. This is what I'm saying. If the news from United States comes out as a red, that is actual less than forecast, bad for the dollar, and the news from Canada comes out good for the Canadian dollar, that will lead to an overall bearish movement on the USD card. Technically, we have a bearish bias because of the resistance and the head and shoulder pattern that has formed already. That's formed prices on the neckline. Is only waiting for a breakout. So if the data come, when you're trading a currency pair, what happens is that, when you're looking at a sell, for instance, it means that you'll be selling the USD and you'll be buying the card. That's what happens in every foreign exchange transaction. If you are buying the USD card, what it means is that we're buying the dollar, we're selling the card. If you're selling, it means we're selling the dollar, we're buying the card. So if the news comes out in this format, where the news from the United States comes out bad for the dollar, and the one from Canada comes out good, then we'll see a massive bearish movement. However, because we can't determine, we can only guide you based on experience and how we analyze the market. Just in case the data comes out bad for the dollar and also bad for the card, I will advise you stay out. Yeah, market will recalibrate itself later because that technical setup will still work. But then we just need this fundamental to back it up so that we can have a high probability trade setup. So just in case it didn't work out like that, as the news comes out bad for both of them, I will advise you stay out. But most likely, I perceive it may come out bad for the dollar and good for the Canadian dollar so that the US card can crash as we're seeing on the screen. So I'm bearish on the US card, for today. And the same thing also applies to the USD JPY. And that's how you know that most likely there's a weakness being cited on the United States dollar. For the USD JPY, this is my outlook. I'm equally bearish on the USD JPY. Now, for the USD JPY, price has been in a downtrend on the daily time frame. Seen a downtrend, a downward movement on the daily time frame. So that means that the overall trend from the daily time frame has been a bearish one. So we have a downtrend on the daily, and on the 4 hour, I can see the formation of a rising wedge. And within that rising wedge, I'm seeing a head and shoulder pattern again. Now, for this one, we'll actually, price is also currently around the neckline region. And we need to see a clear breakout of price below the neckline and below the trend line to trigger a sell. RSI is at 51. At the point of entry, your RSI should be clearly below 50. All right. So I also hold a bearish outlook on the USD JPY. So you can see that the USD JPY, for that, we're seeing a weak dollar. And also for the USD CAD, we're seeing a weak dollar. So I believe all things should work out just as analyzed. So I'm bearish on both the USD JPY and the USD CAD. And please take note, both of them are swing. Now, if you want to trade the USD JPY, just know that it's a swing trade card that will span till next week. For the USD CAD, the breakout of the news could make it a fast one, so that can be traded intraday. So I want you to take note of this point when trading both instruments. And finally, I'm not seeing much setup in the market today. Today is actually the last trading day for the month. So sometimes market can be quiet. And please take note, there is a possibility of uh, spikes in the market today. Market may move irrationally, so trade with caution and make sure you have your stop loss in place, because last day of the month, there's the end of the week volatility and also the end of the month volatility, which happens in the market. We will have regular movements. So I will advise you trade with a lot of caution, in the market today. All right. So lastly, I'm looking at gold. In my last analysis on gold, I told you that gold overall is in an uptrend, but then price entered the range. So we'll expect a breakout, a continuation. If you remember the characteristics of price, there's trend, there's retracement, and there's continuation. So this is our trend, which is uptrend. Our retracement is this range. So the next wave should be a continuation to the upside. Also, technically, since we are bearish on the dollar, technically we should be bullish on gold, all things being equal, because gold and the dollar are negatively correlated. So if you have a bullish outlook on gold and price is currently within a range, we'll be waiting for a breakout out of that range to take the next trade on gold. You can see that price didn't breach that range I drew yesterday, just at the support, it touched the support and bounced back. But if in the course of today we see a breakout, a retest, a continuation, yes, we can take a buy on gold. So I'm bullish on gold today. All right, so that will be all from my end this morning. If you have a question, you can go ahead and post. All right, Mr. Trust Udo is asking me to check GBP JPY. All right, so let's check that. All right, so this is GBP JPY on the daily time frame. So we had a reversal candlestick pattern there yesterday, but I'm not really citing any resistance in view. So I'm trying to check if we could have a psychological level to use as a resistance. Okay, so this is 212. Let's see if this works. Perfect. So we have a psychological level. For those who might be new to this concept, psychological levels are round numbers from where price could reverse. It's used by big financial institutions, banks, and others. For example, when our exchange rate is 2,000 naira per dollar the other time, that was a psychological level. It was a round number. we observed there was a reaction of a drop in price. So also here we have price hit the psychological level 2 days ago with this big bullish candle, and yesterday there was also a big reversal candle. So technically, we should be looking for a downtrend on GBP JPY, largely because the psychological level, is giving us the outlook of a resistance. Now, on the 4 hour, now this is what I see that may potentially happen. Oh, perfect. Now, apart from the fact that we have a psychological level here, that is equally a support turn resistance. This is a support. Price broke the support. It became a resistance from where we can see the current downward movement, which is really, really excellent. And this is my view on the next movement of GBP JPY. This region here is likely going to be a neckline region because we're having a head and shoulder. So we may see a slight bullish movement, but then ultimately a sell. Now, will this happen today? Sincerely, I can't say. This is a 4 hour time frame thing. Yeah, it's possible to still look at it on 1 hour. So I would advise you check on both 1 hour and 4 hour, because head and shoulder, if you find it on 4 hour, it still works, on 1 hour. So I'm down to the 1 hour. So you need to watch this closely because of today. If price makes a retracement and a breakout, then you can trigger a sell. So this will have formed a perfect looking head and shoulder pattern, and you only take a sell once price breaks out below the neckline region. Now you'll be wondering, how come we see this head and shoulder pattern? I always tell people it's one of the most common patterns, reversal patterns you will see when trading, and it has a high level of accuracy. It has especially when you find it around support and resistance, that gives it a high level of accuracy. So I will encourage you to master it because it can change the game for you, it can make you a better trader. See, trading is not about knowing 100 strategies. You just need to know a few that you are consistent with and get all the results and make all the money you need to make from the market. So I'm seeing a head and shoulder pattern at a resistance or a support on resistance level, and coincidentally, that area is equally psychological level on the GBP JPY. We're bearish on the GBP JPY, and if things work out as planned, there's a possibility price may target the next support level, which is this area, and that can give as much as about 140 pips. That's not bad to close the week or to close the month, whichever the case may be. So I'm bearish on the GBP JPY. Okay, Kudos is asking me to check GPUSD. Okay, Mr. Gochiku, thanks for your I like your review there. You enjoy my lectures. Well, I won't be able to make any comments on the 4 p.m. But just join us. Join us. You're gonna have a wonderful time learning fundamental analysis today. All right. So Mr. Kudus is asking me to check GBP USD. Now for GBP USD, I will advise you trade with a lot of caution at the moment. Now this is GBP USD on the daily time frame. For me, the overall trend is a trend that is still forming, but the overall trend is bullish. Your price seems to be in a downtrend, but we need clarity if we must take a sell. Now, currently price, I'm seeing a falling wedge pattern, and price is trading around a support level. For me, I believe price will break this, may go up, but ultimately my view is price dropping to that trend line. So even though it may look bearish, I'm not really looking for a sell for now. I want price to drop to this area where we have that support from where we can trigger a buy. I am looking forward to more of a buy than taking a sell, because at that region there's equally a confluence of a support and the trend line. So I'm waiting for price to retrace and drop to this level from where I can now look for a breakout to the upside, because overall the trend is bullish and I don't want to trade against the overall trend. So I'm waiting for price to drop. So if you're there, if you're not on the trade on GBP at all, perfect. If you want to trade GBP today, look at the GBP JPY. That one is bearish. If you want to sell on any pound, GBP JPY is a sure bet. Just wait for the head and shoulder to complete and you can trigger a sell. But for GBP USD, even if it sells, we don't have clarity as regards entry. Your strategy is what triggers you into a trade. And if you cannot see clarity, it's best, even though trade may go in that direction, you don't want to gamble. So you want to see things work out, along in line with your strategy. For me, I'm not seeing clarity for entry. But I believe if price can drop to this lower part, then hit that support and the trend line, then I can take a massive bullish breakout from there. And that's that massive bullish breakout can lead to a lot of profit, even if this is like the entry, can give as much as about 140 pips to Fibonacci 50, about 200 pips to Fibonacci 61.8, and as much as 290 pips to Fibonacci 78.6. So that's actually what I'm targeting. So for now, I would just want to see price drop here, then we'll ride the wave really up high to Fibonacci 61.8 of 78.6. So that's my view on the GBP USD. Apollo Akolawole, I should check BTC. All right, so let's go. All right. Now I've been seeing a lot of things online. Some saying that BTC is going to drop to $30,000. I prefer if some views on financial assets are backed with facts, not just assumptions. I'm more of a technical trader, and I can interpret the charts. Now, from what I'm seeing, price, I think I've analyzed this recently. I don't know whether it's any of these sessions. Price is in an uptrend, and this is higher lows, and there's a third higher low here. This rejection candle from previous, this is a weekly time frame, so this is giving us a picture of the long-term movement. So you can see the tip of this candle, the shadow touching that trend line. That can give us a bullish breakout. Now, if you flip down to the daily time frame, you see this point. At this point where price is touching, we have a full bearish candle, another full one, giving like a double bottom outlook, which can trigger price to the upside, possibly. Now, on the same weekly time frame, now we can see that this week candle is currently looking like a rejection candle. Fine, the week is not over yet, and BTC works even on Saturday. So the week will end tomorrow, Saturday. If the week closes tomorrow with this pattern, that's a reversal pattern. That's a doji, and that also can give us a move to the upside. Now, if we look at BTC again, we'll see that there's a previous resistance, resistance. This place, let's just ignore it. It's a range, but at least this previous resistance level coincides with the shadows here, forming a resistance turn support, and that also could trigger the move to the upside. So everything I'm seeing on the weekly time frame is showing me possibly a bullish sentiment. Now, I know the person asking may be asking for recent trades that could be taken, and I will definitely attend to that. Now, on the daily time frame, okay, this is a 4 hour. On the 4 hour, having something that is looking like an inverse head and shoulder is still forming though, which also may trigger a move to the upside. Now, when you're analyzing, it's important that all time frames should be pointing you in the same direction. That's what shows that you are right with an analysis. So this is 1 hour time frame. Let's go down to 30 minutes. Not seeing anything much on this lower time frame. Nothing much on the lower time frame, but overall, I have a bullish outlook on the BTC. So if you want to trade this on the lower time frame, like 15 minutes, what I'll suggest you do is that this becomes a zone and you are only looking for a buy because the overall trend from the weekly to the daily to the 4 hour to the 1 hour is bearish. So if price breaks out above this region, you can take a buy. And you can target each of the recent high as a profit-taking level depending on your risk appetite. You have a minor resistance here between this candle here, and this. But that's a strong level. Price has tested that resistance level 3 times. So I would suggest you can even make this, your major take profit level. And if you feel you want to still ride the trend higher than that, you can look at the next resistance level here as your profit taking level. So those are two levels price may get to before any reversal. So I'm bullish on BCC USD. Okay, so I've attended to all the questions here. Don't forget, today by 4 p.m., we're going to have fundamental analysis, turning global events into winning trades. There are events that happen around the world. Our world, there's fundamental events every day. Donald Trump gives a speech. It's a fundamental event. It affects the market. It affects stocks. It affects currencies. It affects crude oil, many. So today, we're going to teach you how you can turn those events into trading opportunities and, most importantly, into winning trades. So join us by 4 p.m. today. We dropped an initial link in your groups yesterday. We're going to drop more today. Just make sure when it's time, you click the link and join that training session. See, in this business, education is very important and it's always an ongoing thing. We keep learning new things every day, and that's what makes us a better trader. All right, that'll be the end of the analysis this morning. Do trade safe and have a great day ahead. Bye bye.